Don't show off. The Art of Quiet Success, motivational story. The court erupted in gasps when the king read the parchment aloud. Only the quiet tree grows the deepest roots. The rest only seek the sun to be seen. It was unsigned, puzzling and subtle, yet it had the power to shake the palace like thunder. The words were too wise, too bold, and too dangerous to go unnoticed. Whispers filled the marble halls. Some believed it was a veiled insult. Others thought it was a challenge. But most believed they knew who wrote it. Elijah, the king's youngest minister. At just 28, Elijah had risen faster than anyone in court history. While the rest boasted of conquests and held lavish banquets to honor themselves, Elijah simply worked. He didn't flatter, didn't flaunt, and never sought the spotlight. His quiet brilliance made many feel invisible, and envy began to grow like mold in dark corners. 3 senior ministers, Lord Merrick, Sir Alden, and Chancellor Garrick, conspired in silence. They had all once basked in the king's favor. Now they found themselves overshadowed by a man who never bragged, never boasted, and never bowed to vanity. "We must expose him," Garrick said. "Make him stumble, strip him of that silent pride." So they struck. They told the king that Elijah had insulted the court by writing that parchment, mocking others while hiding behind riddles. They called it arrogance, masked as wisdom. The king, though wise, had begun to wonder about the growing unease in his court. So he summoned Elijah and presented him the message. "Did you write this?" Elijah looked at the parchment, then at the king. "No, Your Majesty," he answered simply, "but the message is true." Merrick leaned forward. "So, you believe those words?" "I believe quiet success bears more fruit than loud declarations," Elijah replied. "But I do not write to provoke. I act to serve." "Then prove it," the king declared. "If your wisdom is true, it will speak louder through action than words." The next day, Elijah disappeared from court. For weeks, no one heard from him. Ministers whispered that he had resigned in shame. Others laughed that perhaps the quiet tree had fallen. Garrick and Alden began to reclaim their old seats, and the court resumed its usual games of praise and performance. But then, changes began to stir across the kingdom. A failing village in the east, once crippled by drought, received a new irrigation system overnight. No speeches, no credit taken. A school in the northern mountains, long forgotten, began receiving books, teachers, and supplies, delivered in silence. Bandits along the trade routes vanished. Merchants returned with tales not of soldiers, but of a cloaked stranger who resolved conflicts with wisdom instead of violence. It took months before the king connected the dots. "Where is Elijah?" he demanded. No one knew, until one evening a small wooden box was found on the king's throne. No seal, no name. Inside, there was no treasure, no grand letter, just a single sheet of parchment and a ring. The parchment read, "A loud trumpet may gather a crowd, but it is the quiet stream that nourishes the roots. What matters grows in silence." Ah, and the ring. It was the royal sigil of the council's lead strategist, an honor Elijah had quietly earned through actions, not applause. The king stood silent, then nodded slowly. "He has not vanished," the king said. "He has chosen the higher path." From that day on, a new standard was born in the kingdom. Ministers were no longer judged by speeches or boasts, but by silent contributions. Elijah became a legend, not for what he said, but for what he never needed to say. The moral of the story: true success doesn't need to shout. It doesn't crave applause. It builds in silence, grows with humility, and speaks for itself through results. In a world full of noise and display, the wise understand this. The deeper the roots, the quieter the growth. So remember, greatness is not always seen. It is often felt quietly, deeply, and only by those who know where to look.